Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Festival Live. This is the opportunity for those of you who are not particularly on site with us at Cliff to find out a little bit about what's going on, hear some of the stories of around the site, and meet some of the people who you'll be listening to either preach or do Bible study or are kind of contributors around our site over this weekend. And one of the people we're really glad to have on site with us is a good friend of Cliff College, Reverend Heather Morris. Hi, Heather.
Hi there.
Are you okay?
I am in good form, thank
Now,
you.
I've got a biog of you here.
Really?
Shall I read it out?
That's quite
So you can
worrying.
find out what you do.
Do, please.
This is what you do, okay? Heather Morris is the General Secretary of the Methodist Church in Ireland, who fulfills the function of Chief Executive of the Church. Before being stationed to this role, Heather served as General Secretary of the Home Mission Department, Director of Ministry, and as Minister in Dundonald Methodist Church. So you've got a broad kind of ministry, and you're with us. You're preaching, I think, tonight in the main venue.
That's right.
What we love to do is just kind of get to know the preacher before they come and deliver God's word for us. So who is Heather? I know all the functions you've done, but who's Heather Morris?
I am so grateful to be a child of God and in relationship
great
with
start.
Jesus. I'm married to Neil, and we've two grown-up adult sons, Peter, who is married to Faith, and David, who is married to Jess, and we have 3 grandchildren. So that's the other bit of my life that I'm so grateful for.
Superb. And where's home, Heather?
Home is Belfast. So the Methodist Church in Ireland is across the whole island of Ireland, covering both jurisdictions. So I've lived in both jurisdictions, about half my life in the south and about half in the north, but at the minute in Belfast.
Does working across those jurisdictions add any complications to ministry?
It adds complications. So during COVID, we had the fun of 2 sets of legislation and things, so that was good. But actually, it adds a lovely richness and variety as well. I'm so glad that we are across the whole island, and of the many, many communities that make up Northern Irish society, there's Methodist influence and Methodist representatives and all of that. So I love the fact that we're across the island of Ireland.
And here's how is the Methodist Church in Ireland? We know a lot about the British Methodist Church here, and we could have all kinds of conversations around that. But how's the Methodist Church in Ireland? How are you doing? How's life in the Methodist Church in Ireland?
We are that sort of mixture that I guess the Methodist Church in Britain is as well. The first thing that I see and sense in the Methodist Church in Ireland is a people who love Jesus and want to walk with Jesus. And it's that wanting, it's the how do we push into that? So I've never had a conversation with an individual or a church that says, oh, convince us that we're called to join with God and what God's doing in the world. Never. We take that as a given. But it's the how bit and the how we get on with that and the living with the fact that we're all getting older and we're declining, and how does that fit into the story of what God is doing? So I would characterize us as a people who love Jesus and want to walk with Jesus, and who are in some places genuinely struggling with what that looks like.
And what would you say to somebody who says what's the biggest joy in the church at the moment, and what's the biggest kind of challenge to you at the moment?
Biggest joy is that longing, I think, Ashley, that just longing to walk close with Jesus, because God is God, and in my spirit and heart, I think God honours that. And those sparks, I was just in the seminar about the kingdom that's beyond ourselves, those sparks and signs of the kingdom are there when we open our eyes to see them. And the biggest sadness, I think, is around that decline, because we long to see growth both in discipleship and numerical growth, I'll be honest, and that's harder at the minute.
Yeah. Absolutely. And tonight you're preaching for us.
Yes.
Taking the theme of Rerooted forward for us.
Yes.
Just give us a bit of a flavour of what you're going to be talking about tonight.
We're solidly in the story of Jairus tonight.
Okay.
We were going to be a bit broader, but actually I'm a last minute person, Ashley, so it narrowed down a bit this morning. So we're solidly in the story of Jairus' courage, how Jairus finds himself in a context where some folks are saying, why bother the teacher? And Jesus is looking him in the eye and saying, don't be afraid, just believe. And I wonder, is that where some of us are, and how God leads us forward and reroots us? And I think the rerouting I'm going to be thinking about is how God encourages just to reroute and look Jesus in the eye.
That's incredible. We look forward to sharing with you tonight. We'll be praying
Roger.
for you,
Thank you.
through the day, and I'm really excited to hear you speak. Heather, thank you
Pleasure.
for your willingness to be with us here at Festival this weekend. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
God bless you.
And you.
Thank you, Luke. Sorry, Brian. Phil, sorry.
Is this live?
Well, welcome back, and thank you, Heather. I think she's going off to, she says she's last-minute sermon prep, so I think she may be going to write tonight's sermon. No, she's nodding at me to say, yes, that's what I'm going to do.
Keeping it with the Spirit.
Yeah,
you know,
that's right.
keeping
The
it with
Spirit's prompting her. So,
Yeah.
so let's just pray for Heather as she now goes to put pen to paper on Jairus and the story of Jairus. I'm joined just here at Festival Live. To those of you who are online with us, this is Trey Hall. Trey, say hello.
Hello.
Just tell us a little bit about, I don't have a biog for you because you're a last-minute guest, so I can't read out who you are. I could make it up,
Well-
and I'd probably get most of it right.
Yeah.
There may be some bits I wouldn't. So just tell us who you are, what you do, what your role is in the Methodist Church.
Yeah. I'm a Methodist minister. I'm a presbyter. I am an evangelist and a pioneer. That's been my ministry. But right now I serve as the director of evangelism and growth for the church, the Methodist Church in Britain. And that's evangelism, that's discipleship, that's church planting and pioneering, that's church growth and change. Lots of, I don't say all the good stuff, but lots of the good stuff.
Lots of the good stuff.
Lots of the good stuff.
And what are you doing on site this weekend? What's your role here at Festival?
I'm just having a walk around and talking to people. That's what I love to do. But the Evangelism and Growth team, in partnership with All We Can, has a wonderful venue called Hope and Anchor, which is a dry bar. It's mocktails and slushies here at Cliff. It's really a place where we come together and have real conversations, try to go beneath the, you know how sometimes even in church we stay at the surface, sometimes to go beneath the surface into the real life issues, the real theological issues, have deep conversations together. So that's what we do.
How do you enable that? Because it is easy to stay at that surface level, isn't it?
Yeah.
And how are you doing? I'm good, thank you very much.
Yeah.
How do you take folk beneath that? What do you do that enables that?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to acknowledge that the beginning stuff is okay. So we always talk about the weather. The weather talk gets us into the depths, right?
I've
So we
talked a lot
start
about
there.
weather at Festival.
Yeah, that's right. The weather's fine. But then you go deeper. And I think it's just asking people about their lives. People are actually interesting. That's one of my theological beliefs. Every human being is an interesting person because they're created in the image of God. So it's asking good questions. It's not just staying at the surface. It's like if I ask you, what do? You say, oh, I'm the principal of Cliff. Why? So asking the why questions. Why did you sign up for that? You could have stayed in the local church and but why? Why did you? So asking those deep questions, listening deeply, being willing to share yourself. So it's not just asking a question and listening. It's also saying, I'm going to be vulnerable and share something deep about myself too. So there's a mutuality. So that's what we try to practice there. And if we practice it here in kind of safe space, we know we can do that more fully in our communities with people of peace, with people who are unaffiliated, not part of our churches, to befriend them for common mission and kingdom work, but also to invite them into our churches to experience God's grace and enter into discipleship.
Now, Hope and Anchor is here on site, but Hope and Anchor is wider than Cliff Festival. It's a brand you've kind of created. Just talk me through Hope and Anchor and what it does outside of Festival.
Hope and Anchor is a podcast that tries to sort of model deep conversation across difference. So it's that. We have a podcast that goes out weekly now, so you can find that online. But it's a way that the Methodist Church shows up at festivals across the country as well. So we're at Cliff Fest. We are at the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh. We're going to be at the Grand Prix. We're at the Sidmouth Folk Festival. It's a Greenbelt. It's a way of showing up. So wherever we show up, it'll look different. It'll be in different tents, but we are engaging people in the same kinds of thing, asking the deep questions. And it's not just like the deep questions about life, Ashley. It's about looking for the spirituality running through. And for us as Christians, that means Jesus. That means the Holy Spirit. That means the Trinity, right? But for lots of folks who don't have that language or even have not even conscious of that experience, their starting point is, we talk about where were you lost in wonder? And that's a starting point into something deeper and mysterious. So we have all those conversations all across the country. We had 4 last summer. We've got 10 this summer.
That's great.
And we hope to have 20 next summer. So we just want to be the church that shows up in public.
Okay, just talk me through a little bit around. So your work with the Methodist Church.
Yeah.
If we were in a kind of cynical place, we'd say the Methodist Church is in decline. It doesn't look great. Our statistics are not great. So we have this narrative that can kind of look really negative.
Yeah.
You talk about doing all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
where are the signs of hope around us, Trey? As you kind of work, as you operate, I know you're kind of engaged with some pioneering things and church planting things and evangelism. Where do you see signs of hope around us? Give us some encouragement.
Well, I've got lots of it, because one part of my job is going around the connection and just hearing the stories and working with folks. So great news stories. One, I think there are loads of, I put this in scare quotes, normal, ordinary small churches that are growing, that have decided, we can't do everything as the 15 people that were here, but we can do one thing well. And so they decided to really work on their worship, or really work on their evangelism, or really dive into the community. And they are growing. So small growth, adding 2 or 3 a year, new members. So there's that when churches get really clear about what their mission is and what their mission isn't. I think there's also wonderful stuff happening with the, this is my opinion, but there's lots of folks coming from other parts of the world. So we receive Methodist Christians from other parts of the Commonwealth and other parts of the world. And often those folks are leading the British church in church growth and evangelism. So I know a pioneer in Manchester who started one of the Indian languages from South India, started a fellowship of folks that's grown from 3 to 100 in a year. We see all kinds of stories like that where local leaders are just starting conversations and something is birthed out of them. People, Farsi language folks being baptized. I mean, and this is happening in, I say, ordinary Christian churches, ordinary Methodist churches. I was talking to a superintendent. This makes me so happy. I was talking to a superintendent last week at the superintendent's conference, and he was saying, we have shifted our worship to be Pentecostal and sacramental. We want to be awake to the Holy Spirit. We want to offer testimonies of what God's doing us. We want to come to the Lord's table to receive Jesus into our bodies. And he said, when we started doing that, our worship began to change. He said, we have grown by 50% in the past 3 years. He said, we're not even doing that much, but we're just open. And they've started doing alpha courses and discipleship. They're growing, so there are places of decline, but I'm starting to see and sense, not just in Britain, but in Ireland and across Europe, there is something, this is anecdote, there is something happening.
100%.
And I can just sense that.
And we're seeing that both within our own church, but that wider, we're hearing those stories.
Not just in the Methodist church,
across the Christian church in the UK and wider. We're hearing those stories of growth and transformation and renewal, which is just encouraging, exciting, and God is doing something, and we just need to catch that wave and join in with him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I heard you talking to Heather earlier, who's one of my favorite people in the entire world. So if we could get, we don't want to pull Heather out of Ireland, but if we could, could you split your time, Heather, between Ireland and Britain? That'd be fun. But there is this, I think in the Methodist Church in Britain, I think the door is cracking more and more open to be open to a wind of the Spirit, to be open to practicing evangelism in every place, to be holding together our work in justice and evangelism together, so that we're the same Jesus-loving, Spirit-following people wherever we are. And I sense the church in a different place than we were 10 years ago. I think the denomination, is more open and expecting growth. Not in every place, but I think it's more than just the little pockets. I think there's something happening.
Nice. Encouraging. Final question. The Methodist Conference this year, you're going to be putting a big report in.
Yes.
Which is called Evangelism Growth 2, or God for All 2.
God for All, an extension.
Not 2, an extension.
Yeah.
Just talk us through we've kind of been living with the God for All language within the church for the last 4 or 5 years. I've kind of seen some of the fruit of that. What excites you about what you think is coming in the new way of working with God for All, the extension?
Well,
Sorry,
that's all right. God for All is the name of the strategy, which is I think it's a great title. It sort of mirrors y'all's thing here, right? We worked Christ for All, God for All. It's about, first and foremost about God, and then it's about all of us. Yeah. But even if you don't know the strategy, you don't need to know the name of the strategy. It's about what's in the strategy, which is the church as the body of Christ in the Methodist Church, and individuals taking responsibility for the main things. Martin Atkins used to say, keep the main thing the main thing. Keep the kingdom the kingdom. The mission of Jesus, the mission of Jesus. Keep that before you. So what all God for All is just the church, we hope, saying yes to all the things that they said yes to, that we said yes to 5 years ago. So an increased attention to church planting and pioneering. We call them new places for new people, and that's reaching. We know through lots and lots of studies that new places, new churches are much more, for whatever reason, are much more open and much more able to do discipleship with unaffiliated people. Now, so we want to keep planting more church plants, but we also know that existing churches can grow. So God for All is basically just saying we're going to keep our eyes on the prize. We're not going to reinvent the wheel. We know this stuff is working as we've been talking about things bubbling up. So we're going to keep pouring our resources and which is our time, our energy, our money, our leadership into those things. I think in the Methodist Church, Ashley, I know you've heard this. I've heard it, and I there's a sense of like, oh, another initiative, oh, another thing, oh, another theme, other than the project. We're saying no. There's nothing new. It's God for all. We're keeping on keeping on.
I think that's what encourages me most. This isn't a new strategy.
No.
This is just building on. So often in the church, we have a 5-year strategy, and then we end it, and then we try something new, and then we kind of go off on a different tangent. We are tired of programmatic kind of change like that, and we just need that sense of what is God doing with us, and how do we carry on. So I'm really encouraged that the God for All strategy coming to conference is just a continuation of what is being embedded across the life of the church. And we at Cliff are really excited to continue to work with you.
We love working with y'all.
Particularly, I think one of the key things for us is that research into new places, new people is a key piece of work. That learning what God's doing and making sure that's embedded across the life of the church, we're really excited about. I'm sure you know this. We've got a great new cohort of PhD students starting in September and
Heather
January.
Major.
With Heather overseeing
and Jeff
that.
Conklin Miller,
a cohort
Stoppard,
that's all about research into MPMP. Folk who are involved on the ground with MPMPs and learning from that.
Can I tell a quick story about that? Because I was with
can.
Heather. This is so cool. Heather was brought on board to do this research herself. And one of the things that she realized was like, I can't do this by myself. Or maybe she and Jeff realized this. We can't do this by ourselves, so let's create a team of researchers and build a team of diverse folks who are going to be thinking about church planting from different angles in a way that helps Methodist Church, but also helps Cliff develop y'all as a research center. I mean, that's where we get together.
Exactly, that's where it works.
That's amazing.
It's where it works.
Yeah,
and
brilliant.
We do what we do best, you do what you do best, and we make the church kind of
And we do it in teams.
Exactly.
We do it in team. Yeah.
Trey, thank you so much. Thanks for being on site with us.
Yeah.
Look forward to hearing stories from Hope and Anchor. I'm coming up for a pint of a slushie.
Come on up. Or a Diet Coke. Or
do a Diet Coke.
pack of nuts or whatever you want. We got it all.
Any of those things. Great. Have a great weekend. Trey, God bless you.
See you around.
Thanks, Luke. Well, we've had some good conversation with Heather and with Trey. We had a brief conversation with one of our other guests on site today, Phil Barber. Hello, Phil.
Hi, mate.
Are you all right?
Yes, I'm fine.
We go back a long way.
We do. You're looking a little bit sharp.
Yeah, that's because of the hills around Cliff College, Phil. If you, for where we are now to my office is like a mountain climb, and I do it 3 or 4 times a day. That's how that happens.
Well, you're looking good.
Anyway, Phil, we kind of go back to home in Stoke-on-Trent together.
We do.
And you, we worked together in ministry in Stoke as you were pastor of one of the growing churches in Stoke-on-Trent when I was around. At the Potters Church.
Potters Church.
That was a plant out of Swanbank where I was, so it's kind of a really encouraging relationship. And you and your brother Brian, who planted the Potters house together, have written a book.
We have.
Tell us a bit about, here we are.
To the screen.
Here, it's called Turning the Tide, and you've been doing a seminar around that theme today. So just tell us a bit about that theme, Turning the Tide. Where's that come from? What does that mean for you? What does the book try and say? Tell us a bit about that.
Okay, so this book is fairly unique. It's partly a novel about a young, unchurched, totally unchurched couple, Tanya and Alfie Quester, with their little baby, Ollie. And Tanya, much to the reluctance of Alfie, has decided she would like her little boy to grow up with a bit of moral guidance. So she's decided, perhaps if we go to church, a bit of the God stuff might rub off on Ollie. And it's a fictional story, although I have to say, as a pastor of a large church, I have encountered people over the years with just that intention in mind. So it's the story of them visiting various churches and what they discover, much to their horror, because the churches that they find just do not relate to the modern mind, the modern culture at all. So the book is partly this novel, and then Brian and I offer our kind of collective wisdom, what's gone wrong with the church that they've seen, and ideas, suggestions for the way forward. So we're hoping that this book might help some Christian leaders and congregations to turn the tide. If they're struggling, they can put some of the ideas into effect and maybe not close, but grow and begin to reach people.
It is fascinating because I read it pre-publication and I got a chance to read it before
and you've
and I've endorsed it.
you.
So my my little name is on there somewhere. So I endorsed the book on the back. Hence having you on platform today. It is unique in many ways because you're right. It is half a novel. Because each chapter begins with the story the next step of their story.
Yeah.
And then the second half of each chapter is a reflection on the church they visited, some of the stuff that happened, how a church might kind of do it differently, some of the questions churches need to ask. So there's a lot in there about small groups and churches could use around asking some significant questions about their own journey and the things that they do. Some of those are really practical things about how we welcome people.
Correct.
And how we invite people in and how some really practical things, as well as some deeper things in that journey about how we do evangelism well, or how we communicate faith well, or how we share our faith well. So just tell me, why should somebody buy this book, Phil? Because we're going to plug it right now. Why should somebody buy this book?
Well, because I think it would help you. It would help people. You know, if you're in, I think actually any church leader can learn new things. When I was a pastor, I was always a learner.
Yeah.
And I went to massive churches to see what they did, to see what I could learn from them. So anybody can learn from this book some ideas, some strategies to help them to do things better, to reach people better, to grow their church better. So it's a resource that will be very helpful.
Now, I know they're on our bookstall here
They
at
are.
Cliff. How does somebody who's watching this at home and going, I really want to get a copy of that book, how do they get a copy of that book?
Well, it's available on Amazon, so you can get the physical copy for $10.99 from Amazon, and you can get the Kindle version for $5.99
So great.
from Amazon.
If you're on site at Cliff Festival, don't go to Amazon, go to the bookshop, because that
Absolutely.
really helps them.
Yeah.
If you're at home, then just go to Amazon and you can get the book that way. $10.99 for the hard copy, $5.99 for the Kindle copy.
Correct.
And you've just done a seminar. I think we had to turn people away from the seminar because we were too full.
So we're going to do another one.
You're doing it again.
We're going to do another one this afternoon, so at 2 o'clock. So if you missed it, we had to turn loads of people away.
did, yeah.
I think some people came specially
They did.
to hear
They
that.
did. So and we had to turn them away.
We're sorry we turned you away.
Yeah.
The room was full. We're going to do it again at 2 somewhere.
Is it? Yes, I
It'll
don't
be
know
up
where.
on the screens
Somebody,
anyway.
it'll be on a screen somewhere. So if
Yeah.
you're on site,
Do come along.
you can go and see that, meet with Phil and Brian, and have the conversation about the book at 2. Phil, thank you for being with us today.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for sharing with us.
Bless
thank
you.
you. And bless
Bless you.
you in ministry as you continue
Yeah.
to lead and minister. So God bless
Do
you.
my best.
Thank you. Cheers,
Bless you.
mate. There's going to be a slightly longer loop. We're not going anywhere, so don't go away. There's going to be a slightly longer loop because Zach Carpenter's going to join us. And he's got to plug a guitar in and do all of those kind of little bits and pieces. So just stay there. We're coming back in just a moment.
Hello, my name is Jeff Conklin Miller, and I'm the Vice Principal for Mission here at Cliff College. Our calling as a college is to stand alongside those who are called into mission and ministry, serving God and the church all over the world. In Cliff's Mission and Ministry Development Program, you'll find the training and the equipping that you need to be a faithful and effective leader in the place where you have been called to serve, whether that's within a church or in a local community context. Perhaps you feel the need for a deeper knowledge of the Bible, or the church's history and traditions. Or you might seek practical training in evangelism and Christian mission, or in ministry with children, youth, and families. Cliff's Mission and Ministry Development Units are offered online, and they feature an interactive and flexible approach to theological studies that will fit into your schedule, however and whenever you desire to study. But while these classes will fit around your own schedule, you won't be on your own. You'll join a cohort of fellow students also called to learning in mission and ministry from around the UK and all over the world. Through discussions online and participation in a gathered study session, which you can attend either online or in person at Cliff College's beautiful campus in Derbyshire, you'll learn from colleagues also on the journey of learning and serving in the mission of God. However you choose, these units will offer more than just information, study for the sake of study, but the goal is development. And so these units are formed entirely around the desire to help develop practical equipping for faithful participation in mission and ministry. And I hope you'll check out our website to see the broader list of the units that we offer, because I know that you'll find something there that will meet your need. Finally, these courses are affordable, and you can choose exactly which set of classes will be most helpful to you in your particular setting of ministry. Each course that you take offers you validated credit at level 4 through the University of Manchester. And if you're a part of the Methodist Church of Britain, you'll benefit from further bursary support to make this path of study even more affordable and accessible.
Hey, welcome back, and thank you for staying with us and not disappearing. We've got one more guest to have a conversation with. Zach Carpenter, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to Cliff College. Is this your first time at Cliff College?
This is my first time.
This is a beautiful part of the country.
In the Peak District.
Is it your first time in the Peak District?
It is beautiful.
Well, I'm glad you've come on the Saturday of this weekend, because I'm not convinced Sunday and Monday are going to be quite as nice as today is. So enjoy the sunshine today. You're playing on our Orchard stage, the open air stage this afternoon, which will be great. So we need a quick conversation, but you're also going to play some music for us. I've got a biog here about you, so I'm going to tell you what you do, if that's okay, and see if this is correct.
Yeah.
It's where I trust folk now. It says, Zach Carpenter's worship leader, songwriter, busker, and pastor based in South London, oversees worship at Croydon Vineyard Church, passionate about worship as a lifestyle. His songs are created with the aim of calling people into a deeper relationship with Jesus. He's seen Jesus change his life and the lives of those around him and seeks to glorify the one who set him free and saved his life. That sounds pretty impressive biog, doesn't it? Does that sum up Zach Carpenter?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah, I do all those things, and Jesus has changed my life. So
Tell us a bit about so you're in the Vineyard Church, Croydon. Tell us about how you end up in Vineyard. What's your kind of church story?
I was born in the Vineyard movement.
Okay.
So my parents were leading in the Vineyard Church when I was born. So they brought me along, because obviously you don't leave your baby at home. So
not supposed to. It's not a good idea.
Well, yeah, definitely. And so yeah, I just kind of got into that environment, and I've been there pretty much ever since.
My daughter's found her way into the Vineyard Church.
Ah.
She worships in Hull Vineyard.
Oh yeah.
So she's loving being part of the Vineyard. So it's great. Yeah. Zach, have you got family? Tell us a bit about you. I've kind of read a biog about you what you do. Tell me a bit about you. Who's Zach?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Croydon, South London. Hence the accent. I don't think I have an accent until I come up here.
Yeah, you do.
And and yeah, I have wonderful parents, amazing followers of Jesus who have really cared for me and discipled me and just given me space. And when I was 13 years old, they kind of said, look, we don't need to keep bringing you to church. It's up to you whether you come. And at that point, I decided to be baptized, and I decided to kind of commit my life to Jesus. And it's a quick fire version of my story, but that's kind of
we need quick fire because we've got about 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm going to get out of the way, because what we really want you to do is to share some of your music with us, and particularly the folk. So this is Festival Live. There's some folk who can't be on site this weekend, but still want to engage with Festival. So they're tuning in to hear your story, and we've told them you're going to sing some music. So I'll get out of the way. Zach, over to you. And maybe introduce who's with you this afternoon.
This is my lovely friend, Benedict. He's the drummer. And he basically does anything. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Benedict does anything. Welcome to Cliff College. Zach, over to you. Thank you.
Amazing. Well, I'm going to play two songs. The first is one I've released last year called Light the Fire. And it's all about a prayer for God to give me more boldness, to share my faith, to kind of step out in evangelism. And the second is called Can't Get Over, and it's a song that's unreleased, so you guys are getting a sneak peek.
Taste of the freedom I've encountered your kindness, Jesus. You've won my heart for good. I've never known such mercy, never beheld such wonder. Did I fall and run to you, a prodigal? But you held your arms wide open, feeling weak, feeling small. Even there you were strong, for you never give up on me. Time and time again I was unworthy to return, but while I was far off, you broke into a run. What a God you are, that you would fight for my heart. I can't get over your love, I can't get over. I can't that you would lay down your son, that you would lay down your son. Your grace is more than enough. I can't get over your love. Your mercy pulled me through. I found my life in you. Your sacrifice has set me free. Thank you, Lord. Now I give everything to you, my only King. Your love is amazing. Yeah. I can't get over your love. I can't get over. I can't that you would lay down your son, that you would lay down your son. Your grace is more than enough.
Thank you.
Zach, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you just for sharing some music. You're going to be playing, if you're on site here at Festival, you can go to the Orchard Stage 1:30 and hear more of that. Maybe the same as well, but that's fine. So go to the Orchard Stage and join Zach and Benedict. Got it, remembered. Got that at 1:30. Guys, thank you for joining. We've been great to have guests with us of Heather and Trey and Phil and Zach. This is Festival Live. This gives you a flavour of what's happening on site. You can tune in again later, our live stream celebration at 7 p.m. this evening. Great worship, great message, opportunities to hear what God's saying to you. We'd love you at home to connect with us at Festival. Do drop things into the chat about what God's saying to you where you are, or any questions you've got of guests on site. We'd love to ask those questions. We'd love to connect. We want you to experience that kind of sense of being rerouted by God, the God who calls us and leads us and sends us into all kinds of directions and adventures together. Do kind of let us know what God's saying to you as well. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. We'll see you at Celebration tonight at 7 p.m.
Hello, my name is Jeff Conklin Miller, and I'm the Vice Principal for Mission here at Cliff College. Our calling as a college is to stand alongside those who are called into mission and ministry, serving God and the church all over the world. In Cliff's Mission and Ministry Development Program, you'll find the training and the equipping that you need to be a faithful and effective leader in the place where you have been called to serve, whether that's within a church or in a local community context. Perhaps you feel the need for a deeper knowledge of the Bible, or the church's history and traditions. Or you might seek practical training in evangelism and Christian mission, or in ministry with children, youth, and families. Cliff's Mission and Ministry Development Units are offered online, and they feature an interactive and flexible approach to theological studies that will fit into your schedule, however and whenever you desire to study. But while these classes will fit around your own schedule, you won't be on your own. You'll join a cohort of fellow students also called to learning in mission and ministry from around the UK and all over the world. Through discussions online and participation in a gathered study session, which you can attend either online or in person at Cliff College's beautiful campus in Derbyshire, you'll learn from colleagues also on the journey of learning and serving in the mission of God. However you choose, these units will offer more than just information, study for the sake of study, but the goal is development. And so these units are formed entirely around the desire to help develop practical equipping for faithful participation in mission and ministry. And I hope you'll check out our website to see the broader list of the units that we offer, because I know that you'll find something there that will meet your need. Finally, these courses are affordable, and you can choose exactly which set of classes will be most helpful to you in your particular setting of ministry. Each course that you take offers you validated credit at level 4 through the University of Manchester, and if you're a part of the Methodist Church of Britain, you'll benefit from further bursary support to make this path of study even more affordable and accessible. And you can find out information about these opportunities on our website. Here at Cliff, we give thanks to God for the work that you do, and we look forward to supporting you and working with you as you continue in the work of mission and ministry.
Hello, Cliff Festival. My name's Cameron.
And my name's Molly, and we're here from All We Can.
All We Can is proud to be the official charity partner of Cliff Festival and to be co-running the Hope and Anchor venue. We're an international development charity working in partnership with local organisations in low-income countries,